trek het Molvi samen.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Like I said yesterday, Sheikh is sabotage my Bhyat. This is for my topic. But nevertheless, we'll continue on the same line of the topic, inshallah. Expound on the same topic and also refresh our memory with regards to it, to ingrain the message into our hearts. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, start off firstly, whenever we look for guidance in any aspect of our lives, we revert to the Quran and we revert to the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because that's where we will find guidance in any aspect of life. So in this aspect, as we begin by the saying of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we use ayat as well to give us guidance with regards to the topic. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gives us a hadith which one of the brothers mentioned now in our discussion in the Masjid. Al-mu'minu al-qawiyyu khayrun wa ahabbu ila Allah min al-mu'min al-dha'if. That a mu'min who is strong is more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than a weak Muslim, a weak believer. So in regard to this class that we're having, it's relevant to mention that physically, a person, a Muslim who is physically stronger, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he holds a certain precedence over a person who is physically weaker. But it's not only restricted to your physical strength, but your mental strength, your emotional strength, your social strength. So in every area where you can gain strength, a mu'min who is stronger than another mu'min holds precedence in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should strive to be the best in every aspect of life. And we take that and we use as an example for that our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Like we mentioned, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the best in every aspect. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the best father. He was the best teacher. He was the best warrior. He was the best political leader. He was the best economic leader. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam also wanted us to be the best. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the hadith is part of the teaching of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that we should have. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Tazawwaj al-wadud al-walud." Marry a woman who is loving and who can give you many children, because that on the day of Qiyamah, I'm going to boast with regards to my ummah. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on the day of Qiyamah wants to have a nation and wants to have followers who he can be proud of in front of the other ummah, to say that these are my ummah. In one narration, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions to the effect that the angels, Jibreel alayhi salam and another angel took Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to Jannah, or it was in if I'm not mistaken, in a dream of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And on the horizon, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw a huge nation which covered the horizon. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked them, "Is this my ummah? Is this my nation?" So they said, "No, this is the nation of Bani Israel." And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam looked at another group of people who covered the horizon on the left and the horizon on the right. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked, "Who are these people?" So they said that these are your ummah. These are your people. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was proud because of the numbers of his ummah. So for us to excel in different aspects of life is a very important part of being a Muslim. And one of those aspects is our social and mental aspect. To be proud, your confidence, to be a proud Muslim is something which we discussed yesterday. To have a strong identity as a Muslim. And when a person has a strong identity as a Muslim, then what happens is it allows us to look at our own strengths. If you're confident with yourself, if you're happy with yourself, if you're confident with who you are, then it allows you to look at your own strengths and it allows you to capitalize on your own strengths. Whereas if you're not confident about who you are, you end up looking at other people, am I right? You end up looking at other people's strengths, you end up looking at other people's lifestyles as benchmarks as what you're supposed to be. And then what happens is, you end up losing your virtue and your excellence. Because every person in this gathering, in his own regard, is an excellent person. He has his own strength. But now if you're going to try and be like Imaam, you're going to lose your excellence. And you're not going to be as good as him because you can't be an Imaam. But if you're confident with who you are and you try to be the best version of yourself, then you'll achieve excellence. Am I making sense? Alright? So it's important for us to have that strong confidence and comfort with regards to our identity. And when we're confident and comfortable with our identity, then our identity shapes our actions. So you're confident to be a Muslim, you're going to portray yourself to be a Muslim, you're going to be confident behaving as a Muslim. And when people see a confident Muslim behaving as a Muslim, then automatically they become attracted towards Islam. Now, why is this relevant with regards to us? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us as youth in such a manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put a huge responsibility on our shoulders. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a great virtue in terms of our strength as youngsters. We have strength, we have stamina, we have vigor, we have courage, we have that ability and that willingness to take risks. You know, we do silly things when we're young. There's it's a saying or hadith, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably a saying that youth is a portion of madness. Youth is a portion of madness. If you see what the youngsters do, the crazy things we do as youngsters, you'll wonder later on in your life why you used to do such stupid things. But this madness is a necessity and it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How is it a gift? Because the youth hold the keys to the future. So for us to revolutionize society, we need to have that little bit of craziness. We need to have that courage. We need to have that ability and willingness to take risks. Right? Now when it comes to our identity, for us to attach ourselves to our identity and to have a strong sense of identity and to be proud Muslims, we need to attach ourselves to our heritage. And what is our heritage? Our heritage is not being Indian, or heritage is not being American, or heritage is not being South African, or being Ethiopian, or whatever nationality you may think, or being Gujarati, or Kolkata, or whatever it is, any tribal background. That's not our heritage. That's a part of our culture. Our actual heritage is being Muslim. So if you want to understand who we are and how we're supposed to behave, we need to look at our heritage. We need to look at our predecessors, those that came before us, and look at how they behaved. And that will give us a sense of understanding of what we're supposed to do. So you guys know, anybody knows the story of Salama ibn al-Aqwa? Salama ibn al-Aqwa radiallahu anhu was a Sahabi, a companion of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he was a very young, at this point when he narrates this incident, he was a very young boy, probably in his teens. And he was given the responsibility of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to look after the camels on the outskirts of Medina. There was a herd of camels, and him and the slave of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Rabah, were put in charge of looking after the camels. And some non-Muslims, enemies of Islam, came and stole the camels from Salama ibn al-Aqwa. And Salama radiallahu anhu alone, he told Rabah, go back and tell Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam what happened. And in the interim, Salama alone single-handedly chases this band of thieves on foot. And as he's chasing them, he's shooting his arrows. And he's saying, Ana ibn al-Aqwa, wal yawmu yawmu rudda, that I am the son of al-Aqwa, and today is the day of defeat for the wicked and the mean ones. Right, so alone, he was facing a group of thieves, but he had courage in himself. He had this confidence in himself. He had yaqeen and tawakkul and reliance in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he had the urge to establish justice. He couldn't let any wrong happen before him. So he starts chasing after these people. He starts running after these people. And he's shooting his arrows. And he's not running after them with a horse or with any conveyance, but he's running by foot. He was an extremely fast Sahabi. So these people, they had the impression that somebody was chasing them on horseback. And not only one person, they thought that a group of people were chasing him on horseback. And he chased them to the extent that they left whatever they stole. And not only did they leave whatever they stole, but they left weaponry which they had to lighten their load so that they could evade Salama radiallahu anhu. So you must understand, this youngster was now striking terror into the hearts of these people. And so he chases them up until sunset. So this incident occurred in the morning, and he chases them up until sunset. And when he's chasing them, he catches up to one guy and he shoots him with an arrow. And this person asks, may your mother be in grief. Like, he's cursing Salama radiallahu anhu. And he's saying, who are you? So he says, Ana ibn al-Aqwa. I am the son of Aqwa. So this man was in shock. He said, are you that same Aqwa that has been chasing us since the morning? He couldn't believe that this was the same youngster chasing him since the morning. So basically, this is one of the aspects of our heritage. This is one of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu we need to take lesson from. And what do we take lesson from the life of Salama radiallahu anhu? His courage, his willingness. He wasn't worried about anybody else. He had faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he went forward and he established what he needed to establish. He needed to establish justice, and he did that whether society was with him, whether it was against him, whether anybody else was with him, or whether he was going to do it alone. So that's something which we need to also understand, that when it comes to establishing justice, when it comes to establishing what is right, we need to do what is right regardless of what everybody else around us is doing, regardless of what society is saying. Again, we go back to my first statement. Whenever we find ourselves at the crossroad as to sometimes society is saying one thing, sometimes maybe your friends may be saying one thing, sometimes even your parents may be saying one thing, you need to revert back to the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, back to what our scholars are saying, back to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and then we establish a sense of what is right and wrong. Understand? So we need to be right, we need to be grounded in our Islamic knowledge, we need to be grounded in our Islamic identity. Other Sahaba radiallahu anhu, so the sense which we get nowadays, a person from the time of 13 to 25, what's his main duty? What's your main responsibility? What does society give you the understanding? What's your main responsibility from now, from 13 to 25? What are you supposed to be doing? Studying, apart from studying? Having fun, right? It's portrayed as a period for you just to have fun. Absolutely no responsibility. Alright? But that ideology makes us lose our potential. Because then by the time you're 25, then you're like me, where Safwan outruns me in a race. I couldn't catch up to you, right? So my energy is finished now. I'm done. Right? So between that time is when you have your energy. Your mind is the freshest, your body is the freshest, you have energy, you have will to change, you have dedication to a cause. Understand? So we need to use that time effectively. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, we look at Usama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, he was leading an army when he was also in his teens. We look at Muhammad al-Fatih. He was a Khalif, he was appointed Khalif at the age of 22 and he conquered Constantinople. We look at what is the name of the Sahara, the person who conquered Sind? I'll check now. Give me 1 second. Muhammad bin Qasim. Muhammad bin Qasim conquered Sind at what age? How old are you? When you were 17, he conquered Sind. He conquered Sind. Understand? We look at, and there's many incidents. Ja'far radiallahu anhu. Ja'far radiallahu anhu, he led the people in Hijrah to Abyssinia, and he was the spokesperson in front of the Najashi. And if you look at the example of Ja'far radiallahu anhu, when Najashi asked him, what do you think about Jesus? Najashi was a Christian. Ja'far radiallahu anhu at his young age was so confident about being a Muslim that he said that, you know, no matter what, regardless of what the consequences are going to be, I'm going to tell the truth in front of Ja'far radiallahu anhu. Isn't that courage? In front of the king, you in the king's court. He has his army around him, he has his guards around him, and he's questioning you about his religion, and you're telling him that your religion is incorrect. Doesn't that take a lot of courage? And he was doing this at the tender age of 17. We look at Zayd bin Thabit radiallahu anhu. At the age of 14, he was learning languages of Hebrew in different languages so he could be an interpreter for Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And a few years later, he took up the glorious and one of the greatest tasks, and that was the task of compiling the Quran. At a young age, at our age, he was compiling the Quran. So we can see from our heritage, from the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, who are our role models, who are our heroes. We look at them as the greatest. They were the greatest of mankind after the prophets, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. We look at how they lived their lives, how they carried out their lives. And you know, a lot of the times when we think of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, we think of them as a group of elderly people, am I right? But majority of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu who accepted Islam initially were a part of the youth. Ali radiallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Umar, and so many others. They were a part of the youth. Arqam bin Abil Arqam. You guys must have heard of Darul Arqam. Darul Arqam was what? The meeting place, the secret meeting place of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Am I right? So that was the secret meeting place of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which was going to overthrow the superpower of the Arabian Peninsula. And who was the person who owned that house? Who was the person who established that headquarters? Arqam bin Abil Arqam, radiallahu anhu. And how old was he? 17 years old. So at 17 years old, he took the risk in the center of Makkah, which was the headquarters of Quraysh, where the leaders of the Arabian Peninsula. He took that risk. He had the courage to establish what was right. And what were the outcomes of his courage? What were the outcomes of the sacrifices of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu? Mus'ab bin Umayr radiallahu anhu, he was from a rich family, an affluent family, a wealthy family. He had luxuries, his mother looked after him, he had everything at his fingertips. Whatever he wanted, he asked for. When he accepted Islam, his mother kicked him out. His mother took away all of his wealth. So now from a rich boy, he went down to a poor person, to a pauper. But despite this, he continued his sacrifices. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sent him at that young age to be the ambassador of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Medina. He started teaching the people Islam in Medina. And by the time Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to Medina, there was a Muslim in every household in Medina. So what the message I'm trying to get across is that we look at ourselves as lighties. We look at ourselves as boys. We look at ourselves as inferior. We look at ourselves as incapable. But the reality is that's just a perception. That's what we think of ourselves. We need to change that perception and realize that we are men. We are capable. The abilities that we have, and every single one of us. There's not one of you here who doesn't have the capabilities to be a revolutionary. There's not one of you here who are incapable of establishing justice, of establishing deen, of making a change in society, of benefiting society, despite our tender age. And that's what I want us to understand, that we're capable. And when you understand that you're capable, then you start doing great things. You start doing great things. And an example of a person sitting in our Masjid is Mulana Sheikh. Mulana Sheikh at a young age, he started this Deen Team. Mulana Sheikh is probably a similar age as me. But at this age, I wouldn't have thought that I could have done something like this. But he had belief in himself, he had confidence in himself that he's able to do it. So it was a perception. He wanted to do it, he understood that he can do it, and he did it. And this is the effects of his sacrifices. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him. So likewise, our abilities have no restriction. It's all about what we think we can do and what we want to give to society, what we want to get out of deen. Like we mentioned yesterday, who was talking about serving your parents? Somebody talked about serving your parents, that we benefit our parents, and then we mentioned that our parents benefit us, and then when we look after our parents, they're still benefiting us. So likewise, when we serving deen, we're not benefiting the deen. The deen doesn't need us. We need the deen. When we serving the deen, we benefiting from the deen. The deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like a train. That train carries on its route. It's going to get to its destination. The Muslims are going to be victorious. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make Islam glorious. It's our decision whether we want to be a part of this train, whether we want to have our names written on that plaque of honor on the day of Qiyamah. And then last, I'll close off with the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, an abstract from the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, and this is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, سَبْعَةٌ يُذِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّهِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give shade to 7 types of people on a day where there will be no shade but the shade of Allah. On the day of Qiyamah, when everybody is running in bed, when everybody is crying, when a mother will give a child, when a brother, these 2 brothers we were just mentioning how much how they argue each other. No matter, regardless of how much they love each other on the day of Qiyamah, when they sense the terror of the day of Qiyamah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from it, they leave each other. A father, no matter how much love a father has for his son, he'll leave it. No matter how much love I have for you guys, I thank God, every man for himself. Right? On that day, where there's so much terror, where people will be drowning in their sweat, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that 7 people, 7 special groups of people, 7 special types of people will get shade. VIP. Out of all of creation, these people will be special, and they'll be relaxing under the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without any fear, without any stress, without any anxiety. And one of these people are Shabun nasha'a fi ibadati rabbi. That a youngster who grows up in the ibadah and the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isn't it something so simple? Like this camp. Is it something difficult? Or are we having fun? But this entire camp has been what? In the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has been ibadah, we've been worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we've been learning, we've been making dhikr, we've been punctual with our salah. So to remain in the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not something difficult, it's a perception. It's a perception. All it requires is for us to change our mindset and for us to put ourselves forward. And when we put ourselves forward, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take us. So when it came to the youngsters of Ashab al-Kahf, we all read Surah al-Kahf on a Friday. Those youngsters of al-Kahf, they became mu'min. But the environment, everybody around them wasn't Muslim. So the people weren't happy with them. So what they did was they left their town. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say regarding these people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, just give me 1 second, let me reference the ayah again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, what's the ayah? Surah al-Kahf 14. إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. That they were youngsters who believed in their Rabb, they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what was the result of that? وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. As a result of them believing, as a result of them putting themselves forward for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took them into His mercy. So if we put ourselves forward, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take service to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make us serving Him much easier. Inshallah, I can see you guys are all eager to get on with the session. And inshallah, we'll end with that. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.